the difficulties that you see and the reason for all of these new crowdfunding methodologies is basically to avoid having to go through the IPO process, which requires an S1 registration statement, a certified audit, and is subject to a great deal of regulations. And all of the new crowdfunding laws were designed to eliminate that expensive and very onerous process. But we decided a long time ago, we were doing this before the crowdfunding came into play. We were effectively crowdfunding using the regular IPO process, and that's what MediaShares does.
So, Gene, let's start with you, because when we first met in person in December, we started talking about Facebook's IPO. And you came up to me and said, you said what Facebook should do is they should do a direct IPO, they should cut out the underwriters, and they should use our tools. They should use MediaShares. And I actually wrote an article about that, on how Facebook's IPO could have transformed the IPO market. Obviously, it didn't happen. It was a dismal failure. So talk a little bit about, how it could have been. Not that I like coulda, woulda, shoulda, I don't believe in that, but what could have been.
Or what will be, rather.
Okay, that's more optimistic.
Will be. You see, in an IPO, when you do an underwritten IPO, a company sells all of its shares to the underwriter, and then the underwriter sells all of those shares through their network of brokers on the phone to their customers. Of course, there are institutions that buy large blocks of shares, but the reason that you have brokerages, how it started out, was they have a whole network of brokers that they can sell the stock to. That's really why you need an underwriter, somebody to sell your stock to. Facebook did not need an underwriter. They did not need an underwriter because they already had several 100 million people, direct contact with those people. They could have very easily sent them an email and said, how would you like to own at least one share of Facebook? And if someone had gone on that website and bought one share of Facebook using our using direct registration, Facebook would have had direct contact with those shareholders. They would have had their demographic information, and perhaps most importantly, they would have had their payment information. They would have had their checking account payment information from the purchase of the stock. That would have given Facebook 200 million shareholders. Let's pretend for a moment that everybody bought a share. They would have had 200 million shareholders, had all of their payment information. They would have known how much they make from their suitability form that they've filled out. They would have had their address, and they already know what you like. So they could have conceivably been the retail behemoth of all time, because they know what you like, and they say, David Sinclair, won't you please click here, since you're a scuba diver, we already have your payment information, and check out this new scuba tank. And you, as a scuba lover, would click there and say, wow, just click here and it's mine. Okay. They would have made it very easy to have a retail machine that they could then market to all of their advertisers. Right now, there's a big question about Facebook, how are they going to monetize some of these things? Well, it's very simple. They would have had all that in a database. They could have monetized their entire advertising and had a payment structure already in place, knowing what everybody likes. But it's hard to go up against a major underwriter who comes to them and says, we're going to buy all your stock. You don't have to worry about a thing. We'll take it all from you right now. And as a matter of fact, Facebook even wrote their own prospectus to start with. I think they did it primarily as a means of negotiating their fee. They ended up only paying a 1.9% commission to the underwriters. The underwriters were glad to do that because they naked shorted the hell out of it, and they made a ton of money on it anyway, so they were glad to do it. And the whole thing is a dirty business. It's not clean. It's not, why don't we invest why don't I give you some money and we watch you, help you grow. We'll be your customer, your user, and your shareholder, and watch you grow and participate in that growth. Instead of that, there's all this dirty electronic trading and algorithms and naked shorting and that's what the whole business is. That's the problem with the business right now. It's all dirty and greedy and everybody's trying to make a fast buck, electronic trading and I get carried away, I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get back to social media.